You have to have the confidence to be bad at something. You have to have the confidence to be seen to be trying and to be seen to be not an expert. When we're trying to learn something new, to cultivate a new hobby, to achieve a new goal, it's so important that we move past the cringe we feel, the embarrassment, and kind of the criticism that some of us might face from our close friends and family, from our environment. And it's so important to be able to move past that insecure feeling that you initially feel when you're just not good at something at the start. In our society and throughout, our schooling system, and when we apply for jobs, we're kind of told that we're supposed to be an expert at whatever we're trying to do, that we should somehow have these kind of skills at a innate level, but that's just not the reality of what it means to become a master at something, to become the voice of something, and to be seen to be an expert. Those that have taken the time to build a new skill or to learn a new hobby or to even experiment with the different ventures that they have in their life have spent years making mistakes. They've spent years to be seen to try, and they've had the confidence to not be perfect. Perfectionism can be a huge reason why some of us actually fail to move past that initial novice period when we're just not good at something, or we're kind of at the bottom ranks of the kind of expert hierarchy. In today's society, where we can easily find experts online or through just social media, it's so important to recognize that you're only seeing the end product of what a lot of experts are. They've spent years trialing different methods, they've spent years honing in on their craft, and most importantly, they've probably spent a very long time trying to figure out who they are and what is important to them. This goes back to the idea that to learn a new skill or a hobby, that you have to spend 10,000 hours on it. Whilst I'm not sure if that number stands and if it's actually a fact, it is a fact that you have to spend multiple years trying to hone in on a skill, hone in on a hobby, to actually become somebody that is good at what they do and has experienced the process of what they're trying to achieve. So let's say you're trying to become a painter, or you're trying to, become really good at a sport. You have to spend hours trying to understand different techniques, different methods, and what actually works for you. Like, what are the skills and techniques that you enjoy, the processes that work well with your skill sets, and whatever innate ability that you might already have. But it's so important to remember that at the start you might not be good at something, but that's no reason to stop. It's actually a reason to continue going, because that's actually a part of the process. Many of us are scared to be seen to be trying to do something new, and oftentimes our environment or our ways of thinking can actually hinder us in making any meaningful change, any kind of meaningful progress. And in today's video, I'm going to talk about 3 main areas that some of us may find ourselves trapped in kind of a loop. So number 1 is external criticism and how to move beyond that. Number 2 is what it means to find long-term consistency. And then finally 3, how to be driven by your internal locus of control. When we're trying to do something new and to experiment for the first time, we're naturally going to be very bad at it. And I think that is just a simple way to put what it's like to try a new hobby or to go after a new venture. Like, you're not going to be an expert, and you may even find that you're surrounded by people that are way better than you, and that's fine, and that's really important because it shows you what good is like. However, I think a lot of people don't talk about what it means to be a novice at something and to actually be seen to be trying. If you're trying to actually try a new hobby or to have a new skill or to go after a new venture, you'll find that a lot of people might be shocked by the fact that you're even trying to make a change. And oftentimes people that are closest to us, or people that have some sort of understanding of our character and our identity, can actually find it quite disrupting to see you making a change or trying to adopt a new identity through that skill, that experience, or that venture. And whilst it's not always malicious, I kind of find that a lot of people can become quite negative, and a lot of us have been taught that, we should be perfect at something and we should be going after the things that are only going to make us money or only going to be seen as valuable in society. But over the last couple of years, I think we've seen a huge rise in social media around people that have created meaningful lives through really just doing whatever they find interesting and find exciting, and that speaks to their character and that speaks to their soul at some level. So I think it's really important to drown out the initial criticism and the noises that you might experience, and to almost ignore your negative feelings that you might feel. So when you're starting to do something new, you might share it with people, and any kind of negative reactions or reactions that kind of suggest, how are you going to make this work, or, why are you even doing this? Like that kind of energy, I think it's really important to move beyond that, but also to just recognize that it's a natural human instinct that a lot of us have when we see other people making a change, when we see other people trying to do something that they're just not, something that they might not have done in their life before. So in short, it's so important to drown out the noises around you and to keep pursuing after the goals that you think will work for your life and that are going to make you happy. A lot of people may find it quite shocking when their friends or family try to adopt a new kind of identity or new hobby, or just be seen to be doing something totally different. And this is because we're just not used to the person. It's not a malicious thing, it's just kind of how we all tend to be. But I think once you are persistent with something and continue to do it, it kind of becomes a part of your identity, and people around you almost start to adapt to this new version of you. And their words and criticisms really don't dictate the actions that you take. So it's really important to drown out the noise, because this may influence the actions that you take and the behaviors that you do every day. But if you've set a goal for yourself to learn a new hobby, to go after something new, then you have to drown out that noise. One area that a lot of us actually struggle with is this idea of long-term consistency. I think we often see kind of people that are masters in their field, or people that have achieved success young that may actually be anomalies, as kind of this golden standard and how things actually are. A lot of people see people that have achieved things at a young age, or that they've suddenly popped up on social media sharing their successes. We often see this as how things should be, but in reality, that kind of mastery or success in a field actually takes years of consistency, of being persistent, of showing up every day. Now, there are exceptions to the rule where some people do find success in a short period of time because, there might be a trend or a wave or things like that are progressing your venture forward, whether that's posting on social media or whether that's trying a new business. There will be things that progress you faster than kind of any day-to-day efforts that you might make. So it's really important to remember that while some people might achieve that short-term success very quickly, or they might have had a leg up in the field that you're trying to kind of venture into or move out into, that most of us actually have experienced success through this long-term thinking. And that, if you stop doing something for 1 month, that doesn't mean that that's no longer part of your identity or your goals. It just means that you've taken a step back to reevaluate, to take a break, to focus on something else. And consistency is not something that happens over a month. It happens over a lifetime. It happens over years. So if you've taken a break from your objectives and you feel kind of like you've fallen off, it's important to remember that consistency is over a lifetime and not over a month or a year. Consistency is over the long term. It's not a short-term thing. So you might be somebody that takes breaks between the ventures that you're doing, but that's totally fine. And that is actually part of the process, taking adequate rest, taking meaningful time to reevaluate your goals or your progress or the position that you're in. That's a huge part of your life and making meaningful change. Finding consistency in the long term only comes through seeing consistency as something that is done over the long term and not the short term. Now let's talk about something that kind of feeds off of the first point that I made around not letting external voices influence your actions and your behaviors. And it's this idea of a internal locus of control. So what I mean by this is that there are two types of people. There are like the first types of people that are influenced by external environments, external voices, and external circumstances, and they base their actions and behaviors off of that. So it's the type of person that might say, oh, I can't go for a run today because it's raining. Whereas you might have the second type of person that has a more of an internal locus of control, and that's what they use as their way to move forward and as a way to kind of find that success and that progress. So if it's raining and they want to go for a run, they're going to go for that run regardless of the weather, or they're going to find things that are in their control, like finding a time in the day that works, finding another way to get exercise in. So it's really important that if you're trying to become confident and to make that meaningful change, that you are somebody that focuses on your internal locus of control rather than your external environment and circumstances. It's kind of like being an optimist. It's about figuring out what you can do with the resources that you have, what you can do in the time that you have, and what you can deliver with what you've been handed. It's the difference between the person that, you know, wins with the cards that they've been dealt, or the person that moans that, you know, they don't have the right cards to make the perfect move. And again, it goes back to number 2. It's about moving away from that perfectionist mindset in the short term to this long-term growth mindset where you try new things, you experiment, and you keep consistent in the long run. Now, the 3 things I've mentioned today around, you know, ignoring the outside noise, from, you know, focusing on your internal locus of control and the things that you can do, and then thirdly, finding that longer term consistency, are all kind of this longer term process of trying to become a master at something. So when you are a novice, you have to focus on drowning out your external noise, and as you progress further into your own mindset and to finding kind of power in your actions and your behaviors and your goals, you have to find, you know, how to cultivate that long-term consistency. And then lastly, you have to be driven by your internal locus of control and the things that you can do to become the person that you are and to achieve any objectives or goals that you have to ultimately get to a form of being a master at something or being the best you can be at something. And anyone that has achieved any kind of success has all of these traits. They learn to ignore the voices of those that perhaps haven't achieved what they want. They drown out people's voices that, you know, are quite negative just generally. They might be negative about everything. They focus on the things that they can control and the resources that they have and the network that they have, and they make the most of everything that they have on a day-to-day basis. And then lastly, their consistency is driven by long-term thinking and not short-term goals and not short-term steps. They recognize that if they fail in the short term, they are one step closer to that final success, to getting to a position that they desire to be in. So if you're looking to become the best that you can at something, you have to be confident in being bad at it from the start. If you never move past those kind of early stages of being bad at something, being seen to be trying, then you won't actually make any meaningful progress, and you'll just kind of you'll stay stuck in this loop of trying something new, being bad at it, you know, listening to lots of people's voices and trying something else new, and you'll just keep kind of moving in this cycle. And if you don't ever think about consistency in the long run, or if you don't think about the things that you can control and that you can be good at, you'll kind of just stay stuck in the loop, and you'll try something new and fall off and try something new and fall off. And you have to make sure that your progress and your consistency is long term, and that you continue to, you know, move past any negative feelings, any kind of, you know, stages in your life where you need to take a long-term break or other things and other priorities come up. It's important to move beyond that and to keep thriving towards your objectives and to keep thriving towards what you think is going to make you successful. I hope you enjoyed some of my thoughts and ideas today. It's something that I've been thinking about for some time, and as I've created this YouTube channel to share, my holiday experiences and kind of the things that I learn on a day-to-day basis, I think this whole YouTube thing is very new to me. So for me, I have to really focus on how to keep consistent and how to move in a way that I can make progress, and to really ignore kind of any negative people around me, or the people that don't find it interesting or find it funny, or people that want to mock me and things like that. So that's kind of where this video idea came about. And in many other areas in my life where I'm trying to cultivate new hobbies and try new things and to find kind of meaningful things to do in my life, I think being comfortable being a novice at something is really important. And I think I am building that confidence to show up as somebody that doesn't know. And I think if you're somebody that can do that, you'll generally just develop a growth mindset. New jobs and new experiences won't scare you because you're comfortable being bad at something. You don't think that life just ends because you are really good at one thing and then you move on to something new, and then you kind of struggle because you're bad at it. You have to be somebody that continues to thrive even when you're not the best at something, because of your attitude, because of how optimistically you show up and how much effort and persistence you put in. That is a sentiment to your character, and that's what's actually important, not just being the best that you can at everything that you do. It's about showing up in the best way possible. So thank you for watching, and if you have any comments or any thoughts on what I've said today, then leave it in the comments below. And of course, subscribe to the channel and like this video if you resonated with anything that I mentioned today. Thanks.